What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'll be doing my 2025 NASCAR in-season tournament predictions. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. For the first time in NASCAR history during the middle portion of the season, NASCAR is going to be having an in-season tournament that is going to start this weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway, which coincides with the first race on TNT, and will go throughout all of TNT's portion. It will begin with the round of 32. 32 drivers who qualified for will go up against each other. Then after that, it will cut down to 16. Then it will cut down to 8. Then it will cut down to 4 at Dover. And the final race will take place at the Brickyard Runner Indianapolis Motor Speedway between two drivers. And the driver who finishes the first will be the driver who wins the in-season tournament. The driver who does win the in-season tournament this year will go on to win $1 million extra, $1 million, which could be really big for the team and the organization. There are a couple drivers who did not make the in-season tournament this year. I believe Riley Herbst, Cole Custer, Shane Van Gisbergen, and I believe it was Cody Ward were the four drivers who did not make the in-season tournament. I think if Shane Van Gisbergen had made it, I think he would have played a major factor with some of the road courses coming up. But now, let's go ahead and jump the in-season tournament. So let's begin with the round of 32 that will take place at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The first matchup we got is a number 1 seeded Denny Hamlin against Ty Dillon. Now, both drivers have had their strengths at super speedways in the past, and I think this could play a major role in both drivers having issues and problems throughout the event. But the driver who I think is going to get the first matchup complete, I'm going to say Denny Hamlin will defeat Ty Dillon at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Denny Hamlin is a much better super speedway racer than Ty Dillon. I know Denny Hamlin's been a little inconsistent in the next-gen era at super speedways, but I think Denny Hamlin scored a top 10 the last time we were at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Ty Dillon has not had the best results at super speedways in the next-gen era. So I think because of that, I think Denny Hamlin is going to beat Ty Dillon in the first group. The next one we're talking about is Kyle Busch against Brad Keselowski. This matchup is really, really sad because both Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski are really, really good at super speedways. Kyle Busch has been very close to winning at Atlanta Motor Speedway, while Brad Keselowski is one of the winningest drivers when it comes to super speedways. So who is going to win this matchup? Well, my prediction is I think that Kyle Busch will defeat Brad Keselowski. Despite the fact I think Brad Keselowski is a really good super speed racer, and I think Brad's been showing a lot more speed than Kyle Busch as of late. I think Kyle Busch has the advantage because Kyle Busch has been very good since getting over to Rich Schultz Racing at Atlanta Super Speedway. He almost won the race in the spring of 2024. I think he's led laps in majority of the events since getting to RCR at Super Speedway tracks. He's been close to winning something. He's got a win at Talladega more recent than Brad Keselowski has, so I think that Kyle Busch will defeat Brad Keselowski and move on to the round of 16. The next matchup we're talking about is Joey Logano versus Alex Bowman. Now, I think Joey Logano is one of the best super speedway racers in the field, while Alex Bowman is another driver who's pretty good at super speedways as well. So my prediction on this one, I think that Joey Logano is going to beat Alex Bowman. Joey Logano is one of the best drivers at Next Gen Atlanta. I believe he's one of only 2 or 3 drivers who have won multiple races at Next Gen Atlanta, and this is one of Logano's best racetracks. Plus Team Penske usually has the pace and speed at super speedways. He won the most recent fall race at the track. The race is now a summer race now. I think that Joey Logano on Friday night will defeat, and on Saturday night will defeat Alex Bowman and move on to the round of 16. The next matchup we got is Bubba Wallace versus Daniel Suarez. This is a really, really tough matchup because both drivers are pretty good at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and both could go really, really far depending on how the bracket goes with some of the races coming up. This one's going to be a little bit bold, but my prediction is that despite the fact that Daniel Suarez has some really good stats at Atlanta Motor Speedway, I think Bubba Wallace is going to beat him. Bubba Wallace has been very, very strong at Atlanta Motor Speedway while not having the top finishes like Daniel Suarez has, where he's won at the racetrack. I just think Bubba Wallace has a lot of momentum currently at the moment, and I think he's been due for a win. I think he's got a good chance to win the NASCAR Cup Series race on Saturday, but I think Bubba Wallace will beat Daniel Suarez and move on to the round of 16. Next matchup we got is Josh Berry versus John Hunter Nemechek. I think this one is actually a pretty big no-brainer more than people realizes. Yes, John Hunter Nemechek has been pretty consistent in recent weeks. He's had multiple top 10 finishes in a row. But Josh Berry's been really, really good at super speedways with the Wood brothers, especially with having a Team Penske Cup and being one of the strongest cars in the spring race earlier this year. I think Josh Berry is going to beat John Hunter Nemechek in this round, and I think he moves on to the round of 16. Again, really, really good at Atlanta in the spring. I think Berry beats Nemechek and moves on to the round of 16 pretty easily. Next matchup we got is Chase Elliott versus Austin Dillon. This one is another matchup that I think is a no-brainer at this point. Well, Austin Dillon's been pretty underrated at super speedways in the past, and he's won a couple super speedways in his career at Daytona. I just think because of Chase Elliott, how good he's been at Atlanta Motor Speedway, being a former winner at the track in the summer of 2022, I think Chase Elliott is going to beat Austin Dillon. He's also had a lot more speed as of late than Austin Dillon, and you got to have a really fast car at this type of track if you're going to be a contender. So I think that Chase Elliott's going to get it done. I think he defeats Austin Dillon and moves on to the next round in pretty easy fashion. After that, you've got Ross Chastain versus Eric Jones. Now, Eric Jones is a pretty good super speedway racer and has been really good. He's won at Daytona and has been pretty consistent at these tracks and has some good speed as of late. But he's going up against a driver who's been very, very good at Atlanta. So I think that Ross Chastain will beat Eric Jones in this round. Ross Chastain has been pretty good at Next Gen Atlanta. He's had some good runs. The Trackhouse cars generally bring some really good speed at the track. It was really fast in the spring as well. I think Ross Chastain will easily beat Eric Jones and move on to the round of 16 in easy fashion. Next matchup we got is Christopher Bell versus Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now, this matchup is a pretty top-heavy one when it comes to super speedways. Now, many people are going to think I'm going to pull an upset here and pick Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That's not what I'm doing, though. I think despite the fact that Ricky is pretty good at super speedways, I think the guy who's the defending winner at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Christopher Bell, is going to defeat him. I'm going to go and say Bell beats Stenhouse in this round. Christopher Bell has been pretty good at Atlanta. He's been getting better at super speedways. He doesn't really have a weakness at these types of tracks. I think Bell's going to have the pace and speed. I think he will advance to the next round. I'm going to say Bell defeats Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and moves on to the round of 16 when we do get to Chicago. Next matchup we got is Chase Briscoe versus Noah Gragson. I think this one's actually kind of a no-brainer at this point. I think Chase Briscoe will beat Noah Gragson pretty easily here. Now, Noah Gragson's a pretty solid super speedway racer, I'll give you that, but you got to have really fast cars. And Chase Briscoe, yes, has made some mistakes at super speedways like this, but I do think that Joe Gibbs has been giving him some really good cars. They've been executing pretty well. They may not qualify well at these types of tracks, but I think Briscoe is going to get it done. I think he goes into the weekend, and I think that he will defeat Noah Gragson and move on to the round of 16. I'm going to say Briscoe beats Noah Gragson in this grouping and in this round. Next matchup we got is William Byron versus Ryan Preece. I think Ryan Preece is going in as the underdog because William Byron has been super consistent as of recently with Hendrick Motorsports. And William Byron has been very, very good. I think Preece is going to put up a really good fight against William Byron, but I think at the end of the day, William Byron is going to defeat Ryan Preece. William Byron's been really good at Atlanta. He's got 2 wins at this racetrack, one of the 2 or 3 guys who's picked up multiple wins here. He's going to have a really fast car. Byron's had a lot of great pace and really strong speed so far throughout the year. I think he gets it done. I'm going to say William Byron will beat Ryan Preece and move on to the round of 16. I'm going to say William Byron gets it done. Next, we've got Ryan Blaney versus Carson Ospar. This is another really strong matchup because Carson Ospar comes in as the defending second-place finisher or third-place finisher at the track. Meanwhile, Ryan Blaney, while he's never won here at Atlanta, he's been very consistent and really good and is one of the best super speedway racers in the field. So who do I think is going to advance? Well, I think that Ryan Blaney is going to defeat Carson Hocevar, but it's going to be really close. I think both are going to be very fast on Saturday night, and I think Carson will put up a really good fight. But I think at the end of the day, Ryan Blaney is going to come into this race, and I think he's going to be one of the fastest cars. I think he's going to have a great chance and strong opportunity to get it done. I say that Ryan Blaney will defeat Carson Hocevar and move on to the round of 16 in pretty good fashion. The next matchup we got is Kyle Larson versus Tyler Reddick. 2 of the best drivers in NASCAR Cup competition, and the 2 guys that battled for the NASCAR Cup regular season championship last year. This one's really tough because both have not been that great at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and both have had some bad luck. But I think one guy has a little bit of an advantage, and it's because of getting better at super speedways. I think that Kyle Larson will actually beat Tyler Reddick and move on to the round of 16. This is the one race for Larson that if you're a Larson fan going into this tournament, you're probably going to be a little bit concerned about. But I am not too concerned for Kyle Larson outside of getting caught up in a wreck because of Larson's luck. I think Larson defeats Tyler Reddick. I think it's going to be a tough battle. I think they're going to put up a good fight. But I think at the end of the day, Kyle Larson has enough to beat Tyler Reddick. I think he goes on and makes it to the round of 16 by beating him at the end of the race because he's gotten better at these types of tracks. The next matchup we got is Michael McDowell versus AJ Allmendinger. Both guys are going to be really good in the upcoming races at road courses, so whoever gets in, I think could go really, really far in this. Well, I think it's going to be Michael McDowell who actually beats AJ Allmendinger. Now, AJ Allmendinger does have some decent stats at Next Gen Atlanta, but I think that Michael McDowell is just going to have a fast enough car to be a really big contender. I think Spire's going to bring this pace and speed that they really, really need to bring. I think they get it done. I think Michael McDowell is going to likely be the only driver from Spire who makes it to the next round. I think he gets it done. I'm going to go Michael McDowell defeating AJ Allmendinger and moving on to the round of 16 at Chicago. Next matchup we got is Ty Gibbs versus Justin Haley. This one is really tight because Justin Haley is a really good super speedway racer from Xfinity days, but Ty Gibbs has been getting better the last couple of weeks, so I think Ty Gibbs will defeat Justin Haley. This could lead Ty Gibbs going really far with some of the upcoming races that we have coming up in this round. Ty Gibbs, very, very good, really good at Atlanta, won the Xfinity Series race here back in 2022, been really good at the Next Gen at this track, led some laps in the fall race last year. Ty's been getting better at these types of tracks. I think Ty Gibbs will defeat Justin Haley and move on to the round of 16. The next group we've got is Austin Cindric versus Zane Smith. Now, Zane Smith, I think, is going to be qualifying and contending for the pole on Friday afternoon. I think he will contend enough to be a potential factor to make it, but Austin Cindric has been so good at super speedways, plus he won the most recent super speedway race at Talladega. I think Cindric, because of that, is going to advance. I think he's going to have the car capable of getting it done. I think that Austin Cindric will defeat Zane Smith, and I think he'll move on to the round of 16 as we head to Chicago. I'm going to say that Cindric beats Zane Smith. And the final matchup in the round of 32, you've got Chris Buescher versus Todd Gilliland. This one is unfortunately a no-brainer. Again, very similar to Zane Smith. I think Todd Gilliland is going to qualify very well. The problem is that 34 car does not have the same race speed. Now, Todd has been pretty good at Atlanta, so he could be a sleeper and advance to the round of 16, but I think that unfortunately for him, Buescher is going to have the pace and speed. I think Chris Buescher will have the car capable of getting it done. I think he will advance to the round of 16 and get it done because he's had a lot of really good speed as of late and as of recently. So those are my predictions for the round of 32. Let's move on to the round of 16. The second race will take place at the Chicago Street Course. This race could shake a lot of things up with the chaos of this race could really present this time around. And I think there could be some pretty big surprises that end up taking place here at Chicago. The first matchup for my prediction is going to be Kyle Busch versus Denny Hamlin. Now, a lot of people are going to say, you should probably pick Denny Hamlin because Denny Hamlin's been the fastest guy in recent weeks. And I think it'd be pretty wise to pick Denny Hamlin. But I'm not picking Denny Hamlin to make it to the round of 8. I think that Kyle Busch will shockingly defeat Denny Hamlin at Chicago. Here's why I'm picking Kyle Busch. I have reasons for this. I looked up Denny Hamlin's road course stats, and Denny Hamlin has not been good in the Next Gen era. In fact, in around the 20 or 25 road course races we've had in the Next Gen era, Denny Hamlin has only a single top 10 finish. He's qualified decent, but he has the 25th or 26th best average finish in the field, which is in the bottom half of the field. So I think because of that, Hamlin is going to struggle. I don't trust Denny Hamlin at the road courses right now. I think that going to Chicago, Kyle Busch will defeat Denny Hamlin and move on to the round of 8, making Kyle Busch fans have something to celebrate at this time. The next matchup after that is Bubba Wallace versus Joey Logano. I think this one's more of a no-brainer than people realize this because both these guys are really good, but have also had some trouble throughout the season so far. But I look at who's been better at road courses recently, and I think Bubba Wallace is the one who's going to be faster. Bubba Wallace had a really good car at Circuit of the Americas, and he had a top 15 finish at Mexico City and was charging his way up to potential top 10 run. I think Bubba's going to defeat Logano. Bubba's gotten better at road courses, and I think he goes to the round of 8 and defeats Logano. Despite the fact I think Logano will try to put up a hell of a fight to get it done against Bubba Wallace, I don't think he'll have enough to get there. I think Bubba Wallace will advance to the round of 8. Next matchup we got is Chase Elliott versus Josh Berry. Very similar to other matchups in the original round. I think this one is a pretty big no-brainer. Chase Elliott has been really good at the Chicago Street Course, been showing some really good speed at that track, a really good road course racer, been getting faster at the road courses especially. Because of that, I think that he is going to have the car to get it done. I think that Chase Elliott will defeat Josh Berry and unfortunately potentially shut Penske out of going for the round of 8. I'm going to say that Chase Elliott defeats Josh Berry in pretty easy and not a shocking fashion. Next matchup we got is Christopher Bell versus Ross Chastain. This is a heavy hitter matchup because both guys I think are good road course racers. Ross Chastain picked up his first career NASCAR Cup win on a road course while Christopher Bell won a Circuit of the Americas earlier this year. I trust the guy in the 20, though, that being Christopher Bell. I think Christopher Bell will actually defeat Ross Chastain and move on to the round of 8. Bell has been really good at Chicago, not just 2 years ago, but last year as well, had one of the strongest cars in the field, and his pace on road courses has been very, very impressive. I think he's going to put up a really, really good run. I think Bell's going to have the speed to beat Ross Chastain. I think he'll shut the Trackhouse cars out of making it to the round of 8. I think that Christopher Bell will be the guy to advance to the round of 8 and try to get to the championship 4. Next one we got is William Byron versus Chase Briscoe. These are two guys who are also pretty good at road courses, as Chase Briscoe's won race on road courses in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, while William Byron's won a Cup race or two at the road courses as well. I think Briscoe's going to put up a really good fight, but if he doesn't hydroplane, and he might do that if we have rain, I think William Byron has the advantage at that point. Byron's had some decent speed. He's had really good speed this year. He's been all right at Chicago in the past. This could be one that changes everything and flops everything here. But in my opinion right now, I think William Byron is going to defeat Chase Briscoe, and I think he'll go to the round of 8 and head to Sonoma Raceway to try to advance to the Final 4. The next matchup we got is Kyle Larson versus Ryan Blaney. Now, Kyle Larson the last couple weeks, not as strong as Ryan Blaney. But I look at road courses, and I know Mexico City, he got crashed out, but that car was really, really fast in practice and much stronger than Ryan Blaney's car at practice. I think Kyle Larson defeats Ryan Blaney. He's been really good at Chicago. He got taken, he made a major mistake, and unfortunately crashed himself in the race last year, but he was really good in the Xfinity Series race. I think Larson will have the car to get it done. I think Blaney's going to put up a good fight against Larson, but I think at the end of the day, I think it is going to be Kyle Larson who beats Ryan Blaney and will advance to the round of 8. The next matchup we got is Ty Gibbs versus Michael McDowell. Two really, really good road course racers. Ty Gibbs, who showed really good speed in Mexico, and Michael McDowell, who's been really good and got a top 5 at Mexico. He could be a really big threat to get here if he advances. Unfortunately for Michael McDowell, though, we're talking about Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs is really, 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 really good at Chicago. Had one of the strongest cars in the field in 23. Had a very fast car in 2024. Plus, he's been really good at road courses, and I think this could be a potential opportunity for him to get his first career NASCAR Cup Series victory. I think that he'll be really, really good. I think Ty Gibbs will have the car and the pace and speed to do it. I think Ty Gibbs will advance to the round of 8 and will get a really good run and will defeat Michael McDowell in the round of 16. And the final matchup in the round of 16, we've got Chris Buescher versus Austin Cindric. I think this is actually more of a no-brainer than people realize. I think Chris Buescher will defeat Cindric. Austin Cindric, I think, is a really good road course racer, but Chris Buescher has been so consistent. He's finished in the top 10 in all but one road course race, and he won at Watkins Glen last year. I think because of that, Buescher, with the pace and speed that he has shown, I think he's going to get it done. I think he's going to bring the pace and speed to do it. I think that Chris Buescher defeats Austin Cindric and moves on to the round of 8 and will be trying to get to the Final 4. I think that Chris Buescher will be the guy to do it. I think he defeats Austin Cindric with the pace and speed that he has shown on the road courses. And now we move on to the round of 8 at Sonoma Raceway, also known as Sears Point. This track could also bring a lot of challenges, unlike the race at Chicago, and like the race at Chicago in some ways as well, as we saw a lot of chaos during the NASCAR Cup Series race last year. So let's begin with the matchups in the round of 8. The 4 guys who I have going on will, of course, go to the final round. Let's begin by talking about Kyle Busch versus Bubba Wallace. 2 drivers who have been really good from my tournament at this point, who I think are going to be really, really good in this. Bubba, of course, like I mentioned, really good at road courses, but also Kyle Busch is really, really good. Bubba has shown improvement on the road courses. He's going to be really, really good. However, Kyle Busch has been really good at Sonoma in the next gen, really fast here in 2022. 2023 showed some really, really good speed, finished second behind Martin Truex Jr., and the RCR cars at road courses have been super, super strong and super, super good. So I think because of that, Kyle Busch is going to defeat Bubba. I think Bubba's going to put up a really good fight to try to get there, but I think at the end of the day, it is going to be Kyle Busch who defeats Bubba and moves on to the round of 4. Next, we've got Chase Elliott versus Christopher Bell. This is a really, really good matchup in the round of 8. I think these two are going to be 2 that could have an opportunity to go all the way to the final race in here. But I think because of the guys' really, really good road course experience, I'm going to say Chase Elliott shockingly defeats Christopher Bell. Bell, really fast Dakota, really good at Mexico, but Chase Elliott was faster at the end of the race at Circuit of the Americas and was faster at the end of the race than Christopher Bell was at Mexico City. I think this 9 team is also starting to show a lot more speed as well. I think that Chase Elliott is going to get it done. I think Elliott defeats him. I know Elliott's never won at Sonoma, but neither is Christopher Bell. And JHR has been a little quiet at Sonoma in recent years, so I think that Chase Elliott gets it done and defeats Christopher Bell and moves on to the round of 4. Next, you've got Kyle Larson versus William Byron. This is another heavy hitter matchup this time around. 2 of the fastest, arguably the 2 fastest Hendrick Motorsports guys, and they've been really, really good this year, though Byron has been a little stronger than Kyle Larson as of late. So who do I think is going to advance? Well, I think that Kyle Larson will beat William Byron. This will shock people considering the speed William Byron has shown in recent weeks. But Kyle Larson's been better at Sonoma. Larson has not only 1, but 2 wins in the last 4 years. And I like the speed that Larson's had at Sonoma in recent seasons as well. It was really faster in 2022 before he had the tire come off the car and Cliff Daniels got suspended. I think Larson's team will recover from some of the slumps they're on. And I think Larson will get to the round of 4. I'm going to say Kyle Larson defeats William Byron and moves on to the next round. And finally, in the round of 8, we've got Chris Buescher versus Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs, I think, is going to put up a really good fight against Chris Buescher. But like I said, with the consistency side of things, I have Chris Buescher going to the round of 4. I think Buescher's just been much better. Plus, he's been showing some really good speed as of late. And his road course speed is really impressive and really, really good. So I think that he will get it done. I think the round of 8 is going to go easily to Buescher. I think he beats Gibbs. Plus, we might see an engine failure from JHR. If the engine failures they've had at times, including in Xfinity, I think that Ty Gibbs gets defeated by Chris Buescher and will not advance. I think it's going to be Chris Buescher goes to the round of 4. Speaking of which, let's move on to the round of 4 at Dover. The one track that can also bring a little bit of chaos, but also going to see some dirty air as well. This is probably the most normal race we will have here. So the matchups you got are Chase Elliott versus Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson versus Chris Buescher. 4 of the most popular drivers in NASCAR competition and 4 drivers who I think a lot of people root for currently at the moment. So let's begin by talking about Chase Elliott versus Kyle Busch. These 2 have been really, really good at Dover. Both have had success. Both have won here quite a bit at Dover Motor Speedway. So who is going to win? Well, I think there's one guy who's been getting a little bit stronger as of late and one that's been having some wrecks recently. Because of that, I think Chase Elliott is going to be Kyle Busch. But Kyle Busch, remember, last year was really, really good at this track. Won the pole and led a ton of laps and finished inside the top 5. I think because of that, Chase Elliott will have a really good chance to get beat by Kyle Busch, but I think that the Chase Elliott 9 team is starting to show more speed. I think they get it done. I think Chase Elliott will go to the final round and compete in the round of 2. I think Chase Elliott defeats Kyle Busch and moves on to the round of 2. So that means it will be either Kyle Larson or Chris Buescher who goes to the final round of this. These 2 have been really good at Dover. Kyle Larson, very good at Dover. Chris Buescher, been good in recent years at Dover. But I think it's going to be the guy who's been one of the fastest guys all season. I think Kyle Larson beats Buescher. This is one of Kyle Larson's best racetracks. He's won here before back in 2019. He should have won this race in 2021 before the pit stops happened near the end. I think that Kyle Larson will get there, and I think he beats Chris Buescher. He's going to have the pace and speed. They're going to bring it this time around. I think that Kyle Larson beats Buescher and will go to the final round and compete against Chase Elliott for that. So now we get to the final round, and that's going to take place and coincide with the final race at TNT on Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 400. The head-to-head matchup between the 2 most popular drivers in NASCAR, Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, the 2-headed horsemen when it comes to the fan base of this sport. The 2 drivers I think a lot of fans would really love to go against each other, considering they're 2 drivers who race with a lot of respect and have a good history racing against each other, even though they've had some controversy in the past. So who is going to win this? I think both are going to do really, really strong. Both are really good at Pocono. Chase Elliott did have a big advantage in racing at Pocono, and racing Indy is very similar than racing at Pocono. But Chase Elliott is also going to have a disadvantage a little bit, and it's the fact that Kyle Larson has experience from racing Indianapolis, and he, of course, is the defending winner at Indianapolis for the Brickyard, picked up his first ever Brickyard 400 victory. I think that Kyle Larson will do what he can to beat Elliott, and I think Elliott is going to do what he is going to do. So who is going to win? Well, I think your first in-season tournament champion who's going to win $1 million, I think Kyle Larson will win the in-season tournament and pick up his first ever $1 million because I think Larson's going to win the race and get his back-to-back Brickyard 400 victories. Kyle Larson was very, very good at races like this, really strong in Indianapolis. You look how good he was last year in this event, plus from racing in IndyCar and racing the Indy 500. I know he crashed, but he has that experience, knows how to race at this racetrack, with the next gen being very similar to how the IndyCar is, except they don't want the hybrid in the next gen car. I think Kyle Larson gets it done. I think he will be the driver who will get it done. I think he will go to the final race, and I think he will win the in-season tournament and win an extra $1 million for his team and organization. So, that is going to be for my predictions for the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series In-Season Tournament Challenge. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. List description below that, and comment your thoughts on today's episode. What's your predictions for each of the rounds? Let me know them from the round of 32, the round of 16, the round of 8, the round of 4, and the round of 2. And let me know who you think is going to win the championship. Let me know it in the comments below. We're also going to have the Truck Series race picks from Lion Rock. We got a lot of really good drivers running that. It could be very interesting who goes out and wins that race. Then on Wednesday, we're going to have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. We're also going to have the Xfinity Series race picks from Atlanta. Then on Thursday, we have Cup race picks from Atlanta. And we're also going to have the paint scheme video for the race at Atlanta as well, at Echo Park Speedway, And then, of course, on Friday, we'll have the Xfinity Series race review from Echo Park, along with the NASCAR news video, more than likely. And we'll have reactions to Cup qualifying from Echo Park, a.k.a. Atlanta Motor Speedway. We got content coming on people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Junior Motorsports, Connor Zillage, Carson Quaffle, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Cletus McFarland, Dodge, Ram, Frankie Muniz, all the good stuff will be dropping on the channel in the coming days and weeks. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.